Have you ever faced by traumatic and grim moments in your life? Welcome to my channel. Our story today is about the lady by the name Elena, who outran from the Nazis, became a ghost. In World War II, Europe, 1943, the sound of marching boots fills the empty streets. Cities that were once full of life now lie in fear. The Nazis are taking over Europe, tightening their hold with every passing day. But even in the darkest times, there are stories of courage, of people who ran faster than death, who fought the odds, and disappeared like ghosts. This is one of those stories. It's about a woman named Elena Weiss. Her escape from the Nazis wasn't just about survival, it became a legend. Her name is spoken only in whispers, like a secret too dangerous to say out loud. Those who remember her, who knew the story, speak of her with a mix of fear and wonder. What really happened to Elena Weiss? Did she fall into the hands of the Nazis, lost forever in the dark, frozen woods? Was she caught and silenced, her story buried with her? Or did she somehow escape, slipping through the cracks of history, becoming something more than just a survivor? Maybe she didn't just live. Maybe she became a ghost, a shadow that still lingers in the corners of a broken world. Today, we explore the mystery of Elena Weiss, the woman who outran death, defied the odds, and disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only a legend. The Silent Escape. It was a cold, gray dawn in the heart of Poland, 1943, when Elena Weiss, a Jewish schoolteacher, realized her life was about to change forever. The war had turned her once peaceful life upside down, and now her world was crumbling around her. Elena had lived in a small town near Lublin, where she was known for her kind heart and her dedication to educating the young. She had never imagined that her world would be turned upside down by the Nazi occupation. But that morning, a horrifying knock on the door shattered her peaceful existence. Gestapo, the secret Nazi police, had arrived. Elena's heart pounded in her chest as the tall, menacing figures in black boots filled her home. Their faces were hard, like they were carved from stone, and their eyes were cold with hatred. They had come for her and her family, but she did not intend to go down without a fight. Her family was taken that day, her father, her brother, and her mother, all sent to Auschwitz. Elena, however, was left behind. She had somehow slipped through the fingers of the Nazis, thanks to a stroke of luck. The Gestapo had been too focused on rounding up her family and hadn't seen her slip out the back door. What followed was a series of traumatic and grim moments, where Elena ran for her life, not knowing where she was going or if she would ever see daylight again. With nothing but her wits, a scarred, weather-beaten coat, and a small bag of supplies, she fled into the woods. The thick Polish forests offered bare shelter, but Elena was no fool. The dense woods might have concealed her for a fleeting moment, but they could never erase the terror that gripped her heart. Alone, hunted, and vulnerable, she could feel the weight of the world closing in on her. The Germans were relentless. They would comb every inch of the land until they found her. And when they did, there would be no mercy. The thought of capture sent shivers down her spine. Her only hope was to vanish, to melt into the earth itself, to become something untraceable, a ghost among the shadows. But how? How could she slip from the clutches of the Nazi that had already crushed so many lives? The world was shrinking around her with each passing moment, the walls closing in tighter and tighter, leaving her with no place to run, no place to hide. The Mountain of Secrets. Elena's journey led her across wide fields, through quiet villages, and finally into the Bieszczady Mountains in southeastern Poland. These remote peaks, covered in thick forests, deep ravines, and hidden caves, were a wild, untamed land. The terrain was rough and dangerous, known for swallowing up anyone who wasn't careful. But for Elena, these mountains were something else. They were her last chance to survive. In this vast, harsh wilderness, she had one hope: to disappear completely and escape the dangers chasing her. With each passing day, the once familiar world grew more alien, more threatening. Elena had learned how to move silently, how to mask her footsteps in the deep snow, and how to hide her scent. She had learned to avoid the roads, where Nazi patrols searched for anyone out of place, and to find refuge in the most isolated corners of the mountains. Elena took shelter in abandoned villages, in barns, and even in the homes of sympathetic villagers who, risking their own lives, offered her food and shelter. But despite the kindness of a few, the fear was intense. The Gestapo had eyes everywhere. She couldn't afford to stay in one place for too long, and the danger was ever present. As she made her way deeper into the mountains, Elena found herself increasingly alone, haunted not only by the Nazis, but by the shadow of uncertainty that lurked in her mind. Every whisper of the wind, every crack of a twig beneath her boots made her jump. Time was slipping away, and with it, the possibility of escape. It was here, in the wildest and most remote part of the Bieszczady, that Elena encountered the partisans, a group of courageous fighters who had taken to the mountains to wage a guerrilla war against the Nazis. The partisans were a ragtag group of men and women, some of whom had lost everything to the war, and others who had nothing left to live for except their fight for freedom. They were reluctant at first. They didn't trust strangers. But Elena, with her intelligence, grit, and quiet determination, won them over. She was accepted into their ranks, and for a time, she found a resemblance of safety among the group. But as the days turned into weeks, Elena began to feel the weight of isolation bearing down on her. The partisans, though brave and strong, were a far cry from the life she once knew. They spoke a language of survival, of violence, and of constant fear. And yet, there was no turning back. She was trapped in the wilderness, hunted by the Nazis, with nowhere to run. Elena grew increasingly haunted by her own reflection in the quiet waters of the mountain streams. She had outrun the Nazis, yes, but had she outrun her past? Had she outrun her own humanity? The disappearance. Months passed, and Elena had adapted. Her once beautiful blonde hair was now a tangled mess. Her once bright eyes were now shadowed by the horrors she had witnessed. But in the mountains, she had become something else, a ghost. And then, one fateful morning, she vanished. It was as if the mountain mists had swallowed her whole. One moment she was there, helping the partisans prepare for a raid, and the next, she was gone. There was no sign of struggle, no indication of foul play, just silence. Something didn't seem right. The partisans scoured the forest for days, searching for her, but they found nothing. They checked the caves they had hidden in, retraced their steps, and even asked the villagers who lived in the mountain foothills. Yet no one had seen her. Some say that Elena had chosen to vanish, to become a ghost. She had been living on the edge of life and death for so long that the line between the two had blurred. She had outrun the Nazis, yes, but had she outrun the ghosts of her past as well? The mountains, steeped in legend and mystery, whispered her name. And in the years that followed, those who still remembered her would speak of her as if she were more than a woman. She was a myth. Some believed she had been captured, but the Nazis had never found her body. Others swore they had seen her, a silhouette in the fog, slipping silently through the trees, as if she had never left. But no one ever knew for sure. The legend of Elena Weiss. In the years that followed, Elena Weiss became a legend, a symbol of defiance against the Nazis. Her story, though fragmented and full of holes, spread across Europe and beyond, and she was remembered not just for her escape, but for her vanishing act, as if she had been swallowed whole by the wilderness. Was she truly gone, or did she live on, hidden in the shadows of history? Some say that Elena had become a ghost, wandering the forests of the Bieszczady, still evading the Nazis even in the afterlife. But perhaps the truth is simpler. Elena was a woman who, like so many others, had faced unimaginable horrors. She had outrun the Nazis, but she had also outrun her own fate, leaving behind only a whisper, a faint memory, and the possibility that she had never truly disappeared at all. And so, the mystery of Elena Weiss remains, haunting the mountains, the whispers of her name lost in the wind, the shadow of her escape still lingering in the air, as though she could return at any moment. Elena Weiss's story is just one of many. Stories hidden between the lines of history, where truth and legend blur. Maybe she escaped. Maybe she disappeared forever. But one thing is certain. Her story didn't end. It only slipped into the shadows, waiting to be found again. If you want to uncover more forgotten stories like this, stay with us. There's so much more history left to explore, and so many secrets still buried in the past. History is filled with names we remember, and others we almost forget. If Elena Weiss's story moved you, help keep her memory alive. Like this video to honor her tale, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to uncover more forgotten voices from the past.